But again, the EPA has required us to take some additional steps, and we're going to do that and walk you through that and help you understand again what is ahead. In addition to that, I just simply want to say that we're moving forward in a positive direction. And we're really in a position where we're able to get ahead of, some of the challenges that we're facing here in the city. And this is one I think our leadership was aware of and is well positioned to really, again, get us in front of it instead of, putting us in a panic and a crisis mode. So thank you all for taking your time to be with us today. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Vic Kelson, the Executive Director of the Evansville Water and Sewer Utility, as well as members of the utility staff are here to share information and to answer your questions, because that's what this is all about today. Because of your questions are really important to us, we ask that you write them down. We have received a few already on index cards that are circulating. So please try to write them as clearly as possible, and we will get to those questions throughout this afternoon. For those of you online, we also understand that you may have questions. I think there's a way for you to submit those to us. Please do that. Again, if we're not in a position to answer them today, there will be a number of other conversations like we're having today where we can respond to you. So again, thank you for your participation.
Thank you. I'd also like to introduce Ethan Elleser, who is our water quality manager for the utility. And we'll go ahead and begin. Recently, we sent out 73,000 letters to our customers. Each one of these letters corresponds to one service line in our distribution system. Those letters were sent to all of our customers who are water customers. The reason those were sent is as part of our compliance with the lead and copper rule improvements that were published by the US EPA this year. These rules come out of the Safe Drinking Water Act, and they are specifically intended, these most recent changes are specifically intended to eliminate lead service lines. We'll talk more about that in a moment, in our system, throughout the system within a 10-year period. The utility operates about 1,000 miles of water pipe. This is just a part of the distribution system map. What's important is we have a water main that goes down your street or through your yard, and that takes water that comes from the drinking water plant, which we can see through the window over here, and takes it to your neighborhood. There's a service line, which is illustrated here. It's this blue line. That service line is a pipe that goes from our water main to your house. Now, the utility owns and is responsible for the portion of that service line that goes from our water main to the curb stop, which is basically at the edge of your property. The remainder of the service line belongs to the customer. And the issue is both this portion, that's the utilities portion, and the customer's portion. Some of these may be made of lead. Drinking water pipe was banned in 1986. A lot of utilities were phasing it out for a couple of decades before that. But there is an unknown amount of lead service pipes in our distribution system. And we will be working in the coming year to identify where those are. We published our service line inventory to the state's database. There's a link on our website, which you'll see in just a moment. There's a link on our website so you can go to this map. Basically, you find the circle that's in your neighborhood. If you click that circle, it will zoom in on that area so that you can see what's in your neighborhood. Now, that was all published a month ago. The letters went out last week, and we decided that a wise thing to do, given that there will be a lot of confusion perhaps, is to make sure that that we're having an ongoing conversation about the progress of the lead program and exactly what we're going to do. This program does not address any of the lead pipe that might be inside of your home. And the reason that we need to have these conversations is so you'll understand exactly what we're trying to do, eliminating the lead surface lines in our system. When we treat the water, we adjust the chemistry of that water so that it won't be corrosive to the pipes. So if you do have a lead service line, or if you do have lead pipes in your home, you very likely aren't drinking any lead. It's not dissolving away from your pipes. However, if you say went on vacation for a week or two and the water was stagnant in the pipe, it might be prudent to flush the line out when you get done. And Ethan will speak more to what you can do in your own home to prevent yourself from being exposed, even if your home has lead pipe. We have a comprehensive monitoring program that I'll have Ethan explain, where we go out and measure the lead content of water. Typically, we don't detect any lead. Occasionally we do, but the concentrations are low. So what the mayor said is don't panic. And I want to reinforce that. The chances that you have an actionable amount of lead in your water is very low. If you do, it would be because of local conditions in your home or local conditions with your service line. And if you're concerned about that, if you live in an older home or you have lead pipe, then we're happy to go out and sample it for you. So you would call our customer service line. They will schedule our team to go out to your home and properly sample the water, and then we would report the results back. We are making improvements to our laboratories here so that we can do those lead analyses in-house rather than having to send them out, which will save money and we can respond more quickly. So what we want to talk about today is what's going to happen, or what we're doing, what we've been doing, how that program is working out, and then answer any questions folks have and talk about what we're going to do next. So Ethan, can you share about our current lead sampling program and what the results have been?
Thank you, Vic. Yeah, as part of the lead and copper rule, we are required to sample at certain sites located around our distribution system that are suspected to have higher concentrations of lead. We do that every 3 years, and it just so happens that we did it in 2024. And our results from the 2024 sampling showed that we are below the action level for lead on our 90th percentile. And that is how the EPA establishes frequency of testing. So if your sample sites, we have 70 some odd sample sites we go test. If 10% or more of them exceed that action level, then we are required to sample more frequently. And we're required to do corrosion control techniques of the water. But this year and every year prior that we've conducted this sampling and sampled the water leaving the water filtration plant, we have been below that limit or non-detectable.
Thank you. A little bit about what's going to happen next. One of the provisions of the rule is that we need to do comprehensive lead analyses for the schools and the daycare facilities in the community, anything that's served by our system. That sampling program will be pursuing that aggressively in the next few months. Ethan's team will be leading that, and we will be, if you think about it, that's a lot of samples because we have to sample every tap and every water fountain in the schools and in the daycare facilities where people might be getting drinking water. If you know about a small daycare facility, they're going to be the hardest things for us to identify. So if there's a small, say, in-home daycare facility that you know about, that we don't know about, please let us know. And because we will reach out to them at that time. This is simply a monitoring program and a sampling program. We're not going to be having any requirements at this point for specific actions other than what we're doing everywhere else. So but we really would like to have that database be as complete as possible. As we mentioned a moment ago, if you have specific questions, please write them down. Ella has cards and she can fill those out for you. Just for your information, everything we're doing here today is being recorded and will be placed on our website for folks to look at later. I should point out that website, which is ewsu.com/lead safety. And that will take you to all the resources related to the lead and copper program. So Ethan, would you like to say a few words about the school and daycare sampling?
Thank you. Yeah, as a water quality manager, my lab located in the filtration plant is responsible for offering the lead testing of residences and of the daycares and elementary schools. So we do not have infinite resources. We cannot run an infinite number of samples, but we're trying to prioritize the kids first. So that's going to be our daycares and elementary schools. In 2025, we plan on a schedule that resembles this. In the spring, we'll want to start in daycares. During the summer, we want to reach our elementary schools. And in the fall, we want to go back and cover up any daycares we might have missed the first time. To do that, we need an accurate inventory of all the daycares and elementary schools that we serve. So this is our good faith effort. We ask that all of the representatives from those facilities please go to our website and fill out the educational facility survey form. That way we have contact information, and my lab can reach out to those individuals and schedule time to sample at their convenience.
Thank you. And I guess the last thing that I want to talk about is what happens next with the service line inventory. Right now, our service line inventory reflects the fact that we don't know specifically which service lines have lead in them and which ones don't. This can happen two different ways. There are two different types of pipes that need to be replaced, and that would be any service pipe that is made of lead. That's obvious. But the other case is we may have there may be pipes that are partially lead and partially made of galvanized steel. Those galvanized pipes, if the lead is upstream of the galvanized part, lead can dissolve away from the lead portion of the pipe and then would be caught by the galvanized pipe. And so we need to replace the galvanized pipe as well in that case. So we will be doing a comprehensive review of all the pipes that we don't know what they're made of, which right now is most of them. Anything that was made after 1986, we're not worried about because lead pipe was banned in 1986. So if you live in a newer home, newer than 1986, this is not something you're going to be too concerned about. If you live in an older home, as I said, if you're concerned and you want us to sample your water, please reach out to our customer service. Our customer service team is here, but please reach out to them and we can arrange to have your water sampled. So our goal in 2025 is to complete that identification program. At that point, we'll know how many lead service lines and lead containing service lines there are in our service area, and we'll be able to make decisions and plans about how we're going to approach that service line replacement. So I can start on the questions if everybody's ready. Okay, so the first question is, who provides the water testing kit? There are no water testing kits. The reason for this isn't because of anything except that the protocols, the process that you have to use when you're sampling are very carefully specified in the rules. So the way we do it is you contact us, we'll go out and sample. So you don't have to handle anything. So we'll take care of it. Does the utility know approximately how many homes may have lead service lines and any specific neighborhoods that have more potential than others? The first part of this I mentioned a moment ago, we really don't have specific data for specific service lines at this time, but there are neighborhoods, any neighborhood that's an older neighborhood that may have been constructed in between say 1930 and 1960, maybe an area that we'll consider to be a more likely neighborhood. We have looked at this a little bit in our history to see what we find. And one of the things that we find is not much lead. When we encounter a lead service line in the field, if we're doing another project and we dig up a service line and discover lead, we replace it. We replace it right away. But that's been our policy for a really long time. And the last time it happened was 2 or 3 years ago. So we don't find a lot of lead when our teams are working out in the field. That doesn't mean it isn't there. The best estimate we have based on anecdotal information and stories told to us by longtime employees is there might be between 2,000 and 3,000 of them citywide. We hope it's that few or fewer, but we won't know for sure until we finish the composition inventory in 2025. Thank you. Okay. If lead is detected at an actionable level, who is responsible for replacement of the pipes is the first part of this one. I'll take that one first. If we're talking about a lead service line, right now the utility owns the amount of pipe that goes from the water main to the curb stop. The customer owns the portion of the water pipe of the service line that goes from the curb stop to the home. At this time, we have not determined how we're going to approach the expense of replacing the service lines because we don't know how much it's going to cost. We don't know how many of them there are going to be. So I'm going to have to ask everyone to be patient about that part. If your service line is lead, though, as I've said before, there are plenty of precautions that you can take in terms of your water use, which is basically run the water for a few moments before you drink it. Or run it especially after you come back from vacation to make sure. That is, if you know you have a lead service line. More importantly, if you have a lead service line, chances are you may have lead pipe in the house. And the program that we're talking about right now does not address the lead pipe that's in your home. So if you'll have lead pipe inside your home, you should be taking these precautions anyway. So Ethan, can you reinforce what the precautions people should take if they have lead pipe in their homes?
Yes, Vic, and I wanted to add, if a actionable level of lead is detected in your home, we will go out and that's the find and fix section of the rule. We go out and conduct water quality parameter monitoring in your area and try to locate the source and go back and resample your water within 30 days. So we won't just leave you with the high result and leave it at that. We will come back and take care of things. Things you can do to reduce your lead exposure. We have this available on our lead safety page, but if you're using your water for cooking or making baby formula or drinking it, please drink out of the cold water taps. The hot water has more of a chance to dissolve the lead that's in the solder or in any pipes in your home or the distribution system. Flush your piping before you use it for drinking. The way that we sample the water, Vic mentioned that we go out and coordinate sampling so that we can follow the rules set forth by the EPA. To get the highest concentration, we let it stagnate in the pipes for 6 hours or more. So if you're trying to not be exposed, you want to do the opposite of that. You want to flush the water for several minutes before you take a drink. And that should eliminate the risk of any lead being introduced to your body. Purchase replacement plumbing parts like Vic mentioned. If your service line is lead, many of your home's plumbing materials can be made of lead. Today's standards are lead free for plumbing materials. So if you replace any of those plumbing fixtures that are contributing to your exposure, then that risk is diminished. Aerators, a lot of faucets have aerators and they build up particles that can increase the lead exposure. If you take those off and clean those out or replace them, even better is replacing them, you reduce your exposure there. And then purchasing water filters that are certified to remove lead. They have to be NSF or ANSI certified to remove lead. And we have a link on our website for you to identify which pitchers that you can buy that are certified to remove those. So those are the steps that we're aware of that help reduce the risk.
Thank you. The second question here is, are there resources available for those who cannot afford to replace the lines that need to be replaced? At this time, there's not a comprehensive program for that. That's again, once we know how many of them there are, we can start to determine how such a program might have to be funded and what approach we would take. So at this point, the best advice is to sit tight while we proceed with the program and take the proper precautions in your home if you do have lead pipe in your home. That's our best advice. However, if you have a lead service line and you know you have a lead service line and you want to replace it, first of all, please, if you know you have a lead service line, whether you replace it or not, please let us know because we can add that to our inventory. We can really use the help. The other thing is, if you do decide to replace your lead service line, then we have to replace the portion of the service line that belongs to the utility within 60 days of you having done it. So if you discover you have a lead service line serving your home and you call a plumber to have it replaced, please let us know because we need to go out and replace our part as well at that time. We're going to try to do this in the most orderly and cost-efficient way we can. And that means the best way for us to do it is to identify where all the service lines are and then replace those service lines as part of a water main replacement project, because then we're already digging up the street. If we have to replace our portion of the service line, we have to cut the street to make that change. So it's most cost effective if we can replace service lines at the same time that we're replacing water mains. So the most cost effective way for the community as a whole is going to be to do it that way, complete our inventory and then plan out the phasing of how we do the replacements. More cards? The first question is the utility aware of the Justice 40 requirement of the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund? I don't know a lot about this. Do you know about this? I will look into it and contact you about and put this on the website. It's do we plan take what plans do we plan? What steps do you plan on taking to ensure low income and minority populations that are overburdened are participating in the process to the greatest extent possible? Well, this meeting is part of that. So what we're trying to do is reach out to as many people as we like, as can or would like to come. And we plan to continue to have these conversations in various neighborhoods around the city. Ella will be scheduling these in the coming months as we proceed. We want to be able to report to you what we're doing, and we want to continue to take questions and have a conversation about this. No more written questions? Yes. Oh, yes, please.
So as Vic mentioned, we're going to continue these conversations, and there will be another one that we're inviting all of the daycare and elementary school representatives to join. There's some specifics with the rule that we need to explain to these people because we can't do it all ahead of time. There has to be some help and instruction on how to identify what taps exactly need to be sampled. And we want to go through that with them. So that'll be in January, I believe. And we'll be announcing that as it becomes certain so that those people have time to join and we can get them scheduled and get a whole inventory before us so that we know when we'll be visiting. So.
Okay. Yes, please.
All right, before we close out, are there any other questions from the audience?
I'm happy to take press questions too. Oh, yes. They actually have to remove the old one and put in a new one. So that would typically mean a trench. There are some other new technologies that I don't know whether they would be applied or not, but typically that means a trench. In some cases, though, we also, when we've had to put service lines in, we've actually had occasions where we've worked with a company that did directional drilling, where they'll actually just there's a drilling machine that goes underground and pulls the service line in. So we'll be looking for the most cost-effective way to do that as we're and working with the various plumbers and everyone in town to do that. Yes. Yes.
Maybe you think that you're talking about something very specific. Sounds like practically any type of home, public home for home in fire safety.
Yes.
Okay, and then one of those $73. So basically everybody in the house with that home should back up.
Everybody, regardless of how old their home is, got a letter. So that's, yeah, everybody got a letter regardless of how old their home is. So the ones that are old enough to possibly have lead are the ones that we're going to be looking into. Yes, lead water pipe was banned in 1986, regardless of where you used it.
Hey, Vic.
But fixtures, I was going to ask you to talk about that.
Yeah, so when we go to sample schools, it's actually going to be newer than that. They require us to go up to 2014. So schools built before 2014 will be sampled.
The other lead exposure issue is old fixtures. So a lot of older fixtures were installed, even if you have copper pipe in your home, they may have been installed with lead, with solder that contains lead. So if you have a copper pipes, but lead containing solder, that would be an issue for inside your home. So if you imagine you replace the service line and you replace everything you know of that's lead in your home. If you have lead solder on some of your fixtures or older fixtures that may have contained lead, there still may be a route for exposure. So that's just something you'll have to look into as we get down the road. But again, we're happy to continue with sampling if that's needed. A faucet or faucet, or well, typically a faucet, yes. Yes.
Yeah, the numbers that you're referencing there were taken from this year's distribution system sampling. And when I had mentioned the 70 some odd homes that we sampled, that's those homes. Mhm. We are too. All of the homes that we sampled were at high risk for lead exposure. So we make sure based on when they were built that they were likely. So we're trying to give us the worst case scenario when we do those samples. Right. Right. So the highest risks homes of those high risk homes, 14% had a detectable amount of lead. Now that detectable amount of lead was below the 10 part per billion actionable level. So that's the worst case scenario. It's still a very small percentage that actually have a small amount of lead and it's below the action level.
It's a little confusing. The action level is if we go out and we sample and we look at the 90th percentile of the data, and that number is below the action level. If it's above the action level, then we have to do additional sampling or some other actions. But if you find lead in the drinking water in a home, there are precautions that you can take inside the home to prevent the people from drinking lead. So you can get a pitcher that filters it out, or the way you operate your pipes. You can adjust the way you operate the pipes.
Of the 70 that we asked to participate, it was 66 that participated.
Yes, sir.
So we could first allow all the plan. They be flexible that. But again, the excellent city where they. So they.
Yes, certainly. That portion of town is composed mostly of older homes. There are also some places on the west side, south on the west side as well. That would certainly be in the more likely category. And we have identified the portions of the community. At the next meeting, I can try to have a map of where we're looking. But we will be looking comprehensively over all of the homes that were built prior to 1986. And the reason for the extent on the map that I showed is just that the Sunrise Pump Station was on the map. So I just wanted it to be relevant to where we're sitting right now. I didn't mean anything by that.
So we're in an investigative stage for what, another year or two?
Certainly for another year. I'm expecting we're going to have a lot of answers by the end of next year.
So no replacement of lines just yet. That's what I really want to share. But we're getting ahead of it, and we appreciate the questions you've asked. We intend to go about the community, having these conversations and hopefully answering as many questions as possible. We encourage you, the team will be available at the Traveling City Hall meeting on December 4th. So that's another opportunity for the community if they have questions about any of the work that utility is undertaking.
Oh, yes, I forgot. We have with us also the Vanderburgh County Health Department has come out. They're not really working on lead service lines, but they are working on lead paint. So if you have any questions about lead exposure, they would be happy to help you as well. Yes. Please, please.
Before we conclude today, I wanted to mention, as Vic alluded to earlier, we're making investments to run tests faster. In our laboratory, we're investing in a instrument known as a atomic absorption spectrophotometer to measure lead here on site instead of having to send it off. So that's going to increase the throughput of how many samples we can collect in the distribution system. But until then, until we have that instrument and we have that instrument certified by the state, it's going to be slow going. So as we indicated in the letter, if you fill out the contact us form, we will get you in queue to sample your water, but bear with us. It might take a while. So yes, we are addressing your concerns and we will sample your water, but it is as at our own pace right now. So we're trying to get faster at it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yeah. Oh, certainly. The way that the testing of the service lines will be done is basically there are two ways to do it. There's an instrument that can be inserted into the pipe to identify what kind of pipe it is. That's a relatively new technology. The other way to do it is to go out there with either with shovels or with what's called a hydro excavation rig. It's a vacuum truck that we can use to just basically make a pothole about this big around. that and go down to the service line, which are typically about 4 feet below grade because they have to be below the frost line. So then we would dig down and then identify what kind of pipe it was once we reach the service line. So we're in the process of determining who we're going to have doing that work and what the extent of that work will be. We'll certainly let you know if we're using the device that goes inside that runs inside the pipe. We'll have to turn your meter off for a little while we're doing the work. So yeah, certainly as we're working in your neighborhood, if we're working on your service line, we will certainly let everyone know. If we have to go out and pothole next to your meter and it's in your yard, we'll repair the yard and replant grass or whatever has to be done there in that situation. So if you're in an older home and you're concerned about this, please ask our customer service folks anything. But when we get ready to sample, we will let you know before we go. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for attending. We will be doing this again in January, and we'll be moving around the city as we do these to reach as many people as we possibly can. So thanks again. And as the mayor said, there's nothing to panic about. We're at this point, just pay attention. And again, if you're worried about your particular home, just contact customer service and we can get someone out to sample your water. Thank you.